Alright guys, it's finally time to check out the brand new 6 Samurais. Are they any good? That's the real question. And, you know, I want to say that if you can go turn 1 and make a brand new board, and I'll show you guys in a second, it's one of the newer 6 Samurais over here. I'm going to basically cover the new effects really quick, and then I'm going to kind of let most of the stuff play out. So to explain kind of what you're going for is you want to go for the brand new legendary Klesha 6 Samurai Shien. So he's the new buffed up version. Now he is not a level 5, but he's level 6. But if it's Synchro Summon, you get to add a 6 Samurai or a Shien effect monster from your deck or your graveyard to your hand. So you can instantly go for the Great Shogun Shien, so you can kind of lock your opponent out. If your opponent is playing Pendulums, this card basically just wins the game because they're only allowed to use one spell or trap. They can't complete their pen scale, you automatically win. If you're playing against Sky Strikers and they cannot activate more than one spell, well, unless they get rid of this, they lose, right? And this card has the effect where if it would be destroyed, you can destroy another 6 Samurai. Now this is a super old card, but it still has a lot of relevancy even in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! For a lot of different archetypes, requiring them to use more than one spell a turn. There's so many archetypes that again would just flat out lose if they're only allowed to use one, right? Unless they negate that effect or whatever the case may be. So that's really good. Now there's another card that's really important called the Anarchist Monk of the 6 Samurai, although the TCG will probably change its name. So the most important part with this card is if you just control another 6 Samurai, you get to instantly special summon Anarchist Monk of the 6 Samurai. So basically, he gets a really easy summon condition, and it is a level 3. And then you can only use each of the following effect once per turn, but if this card is from the field to the graveyard, you get to add a 6 Samurai quick play spell from your deck to your hand, which is actually pretty dang good. And then a 6 Samurai monster synchro summon using this card as Maseo gains the effect. The levels of monsters your opponent controls are reduced by 1. So not only do you get that extra bonus of getting an extra 6 Samurai quick play spell, which can be like cards like Asceticism, so that way you can go for maybe a different target, but you can actually utilize this effect to completely shut down certain decks. If it's a Synchro or an Exceeds deck, this could automatically be your win condition alone. So there's multiple ways to kind of win in this deck. But I'm going to show you guys the deck win, I'm going to show you guys it lose, and I'm going to talk about its weaknesses and kind of how to play. So anyways, he's going to go for Asceticism of the 6 Samurai, and he's going to bring out Instructor. Instructor is a really other important card, because now, if you control 6 Samurai monster other than itself, you get a special summon. So again, another super easy summon condition. And then you can only special summon him like once per turn with that way. And then you can use each of the following effects of it once per turn. So, where is it? If this card is sent from the field to graveyard, you get to add a 6 strike card from your deck to your hand, and a 6 Samurai monster or synchro summon using this card's material gains this effect. Your monsters your opponent controls lose 500 attack. The main problem that 6 Samurais have actually had since they came out was if there's a monster that was stronger than Shien, you would maybe be able to protect him for one turn, but once that card came out, unless you had an answer like Mizuho or something to get rid of it relatively quick, you kind of lost because the 6 Samurais didn't have like crazy numbers in terms of attacks. So what this allowed you to do, unless you had the little equip card, the Union 6 Samurai, basically Shun would just kind of get run over. But now with this, you kind of have a win condition with this, and then you buff up your 6 Samurais. And then this card over here is going to add the new card, which is called 6 Strike Double Assault. So this is the card that you search out with Instructor of the 6 Samurai. There's technically other cards, but this is like the only real card. The other one's like a trap card. Anyways, you get to special summon a 6 Samurai monster with 2,000 or less attack from your hand or graveyard. Or you get to change one monster your opponent controls with 2,000 or less attack to face down to defensive. So you get either a Book of Moon or special summon. But if you control 2 or more 6 Samurai monsters, you get to apply both of those effects. And then during your main phase, you get to banish this card from your graveyard, target a 6 Samurai in your graveyard, and add it back to your hand. So it does allow the deck for sort of some recovery. But to be fair, 6 Samurais is not a deck usually that you kind of jump back from. It's kind of a deck that explodes turn 1, and if you lose, you lose. That's kind of how it's always been played. We'll talk a little bit more about kind of how the deck can win and lose. But yeah, this would be I would say a pretty optimal turn 1. And then we're also making the brand new Klesha 6 Samurai Inishi. So the Kleshas are the new ones. So we have Klesha Inishi and Klesha Shien. So this is the other brand new synchro here. So warrior monsters you control gain 500 attack and defense during the battle phase only, so that 500 actually now becomes basically 1,000. So think of it like 3,500, because again, you're making your stuff be boosted up, and you're also reducing theirs, and you reduce the levels, which again, that can be the win condition when you go for it. And then on top of that, if this card is Synchro Summon, you can banish any number of 6 summon monsters from your graveyard, then target that many monsters your opponent controls and return them to the hand. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you get to special summon one of your banished 6 samurai monsters. So this card would be, I guess, made to be made if your opponent maybe goes turn 1. I really think you need like Dark Ruler No More or something like that to make this card even viable, because 6 Samurai still have the main problem, and you're about to see it, which is like if you negate their first summon, the whole deck folds. Like they really need that first summon. So if you want to counter this deck, Solemn, warding, anything that like just kind of stops their very first summon, it's kind of the same problem that Blackwings have. Then he's going to go ahead and search out the Double Assault, which we already talked about. So this is kind of like the pro turn 1 board. That's what you make. You go for like they can only use 1 spell trap. He actually ends up snatch stealing the card, but then he's going to activate this effect, then also Book of Moon, so now he doesn't get that effect. Also, one quick little thing, I didn't get to mention Klesha's Xian's effect over here. So you get to add the Xian, so that's pretty much just going to be this card. Technically there's more targets, but you add that card, and then once per turn when your opponent activates a monster effect, you get to negate the activation, but he actually Book of Moons it, so he can't get it. And then if this card would be destroyed, you destroy another 6 Samurai instead, which is basically all of the 6 Samurais. They have that effect where like you can protect them. Except for, I guess, the new Inishi. Inishi can't do it. The guy just says GG. He's like, oh, I needed this card effect. Otherwise, well, it's not going to be doing too good for me over there. So he just GG'd out of that one. So that was kind of like a turn 1, like, okay, the 6 Samurai player popped off. But let's kind of watch a couple more duels, and let's go over like maybe a longer matchup. But again, 6 Samurais are mainly made to be a turn 1, I make my board GG. But there's a few problems with the deck. Running cards like Dojo, running cards like 6-7 United, as well as Gateway, they all require you to successfully summon, and if that first summon goes away with like just literally Solemn Judgment, automatically wins against the deck. Like it's so hard for 6 Samurais realistically to come back, as they don't really have too many like special summon, you know, right after they lose out on their normal summon. There is like Kageki Kagemusha. You can maybe go Elder into Kageki and then go into Kagemusha, especially with like Dojo and United. You can technically pop off, but the main problem is essentially going to be, again, that turn 1 summon. After that doesn't go through, now he's going to be able to Book a Moon, which is good, but now he's going to go throw the Dojo. He's going to go ahead and activate Smoke Signal. In this case, he had asceticism, but that thing, you can't respond to it, so you just simply lose, because what are you supposed to do in this position? A lot of the stuff requires you to have a 6 Samurai, then you can special summon, whether it's Keyzon or any of the brand new stuff. This is how the deck actually loses. So this is how to beat, as well as kind of how to play the deck. And I'm going to show you guys a variety of gameplay over here, and then I'll give you guys 2 different deck profiles, so you guys can make some use out of it. Now, over here, this is very interesting. Now, I gotta double check. Okay, he didn't actually play it, so well, that's a pretty cool artwork. I think that's like a special one. Anyways, unfortunately, he drew the Imperm here, because I was like, okay, why the heck did he do this? So his opponent activates Imperm, and he activates Crossout, and he calls Maxi. So I don't know if that was a misclick, or he just realized, oh man, I drew my 1 of Imperm. I think that was the mistake he maybe selected, because I was looking at his deck, and I was like, why the heck did he, like, he pulled a pro Yu-Gi-Oh play over there. So he's playing Triple Maxi, and obviously, I guess he doesn't want to draw into it, but that card is like one of the best. Anyways, so what you can also do, which is very interesting, is you can actually banish a 6 Samurai. And the reason why you don't want to do that is because you can target one of your banished and actually bring it back later. So that's actually something that you could have actually done even if you didn't have any other targets. Just another like actual good tip there. But he ends up hitting him with a Duel Knock. Not that it mattered. Like, what was he going to do from here? He only has Double Assault. So like a play of Xian and like 2 back row pass. Like he's got basically a Book of Moon and Imperm, and he can negate that. So he goes ahead and goes for the Tenpai Dragon over there. So he's going to summon that, go for another summon of the Chandra. I honestly don't know this archetype very well, but he's going to go ahead and Imperm this card effect over here, which has the effect where it is a quick effect to, well, if it's Synchro Summon, you get to target a fire monster in your graveyard and special summon it, and then you can't go for special summons except for dragons, but that doesn't really hurt this archetype too much as far as I'm aware of, because I'm sure that it's all like basically dragons. So he's gonna go for Chandra, try to attack, go ahead and bring out another card. So if it like at the start of the damage stuff, it bows, you just spam the board with a bunch of free stuff. So he's just gonna go ahead and now go into the Transcendent Dragon over here, and he's gonna go ahead and pop the other card. I don't know why he wouldn't at least attempt to activate it, or is it because this is a legendary 6 Samurai. I don't know why he wouldn't have activated that, because this has the effect where if you apply one of these effects, or two if you control both, but I'm pretty sure he should have activated it. Maybe just a little misplay on his end. But again, the play of just making Xian pass, you have to go for the brand new stuff as well. You can't just go like back in the day. There was a lot of times where you would end up with like a Xian, maybe a Grandmaster, maybe a Keyzon, and then you would have like 2 back row. Maybe like back in the day when you would play like Warding, that was kind of like your turn 1 play, right? But now Yu-Gi-Oh has definitely evolved, and you can't just go Xian double back row. It's just going to make you lose. You need multiple stuff. Now, let's go and see how this actually plays out. So he's going to go ahead and make SP Little Knight and actually pass his turn over here. Interesting play with the Dragon King's Aura, but he's got 2 counters on Bushido. And I like this gameplay over here because it's kind of a gameplay that kind of lasts a little bit longer than 1 turn, which is generally how 6 Samurai play, but the other player didn't actually happen to open up and go for like an explosive play. We'll see how this plays out, and on top of that, the opponent's going to get wrecked by Rivalry Warlords, which is a really great card in 6 Samurais, as, well, you literally just call Warriors, and you're pretty much not going to be losing out on that much. So, anyways, Rivalry Warlord's out, so he can't really go for maybe what he wants to, and he's just going to go ahead and smack him down with the 26. Going to go ahead and activate that effect of Draco Utopian, so he's going to get rid of that card, take 1,000. He's going to go ahead and banish that, bounce back to his hand, so he loses the 2 counters on it. And now you can see how good this deck is with Gateway, and Gateway is super, super busted. Just watch what happens with just these 2 cards. Rivalry obviously doesn't really matter here. So just with Gateway and just this card over here, he's going to attack and actually crash the monster, bring out the double assault, activate the effect to resummon Keyzon, place the 2 counters in Gateway, attack over the monster. Main phase 2, he has 4 counters, removes them, and this is why Gateway is a card where a lot of people are like, dude, this card needs to be banned forever. He goes ahead and makes the Battle Shogun, goes ahead and searches out asceticism. He's also got Gateway special summon, because remember, as long as you control 6 Sam, you get that effect once per turn on both of the new cards. And then Gateway, because it's Gateway, is just going to allow every 2 summons to bring out another card, and since a lot of the cards just get free special summons, just with those 2 cards, you absolutely pop off. It's basically all like Salamand Great, like, you know, with 1 or 2 cards, they just pop off, and sometimes the recovery becomes crazy. Now, you guys can see how nasty this deck can get, and obviously at this point, the advantage goes crazy. He still has 4 counters on this card. He still has a Grandmaster. I think he maybe was running out of time. He's like, oh shoot, man, I gotta just hit end turn. So, he actually could have still popped off. There are lots of different loops that you could do with Gateway as well as the Dojo. There's a lot of probably FTKs and OTKs that you can pull off if you happen to have the right amount of stuff, but Gateway has always been one of those cards where like people just complain so much about it. When the player has Gateway, it's game, and that's why Gateway is a card that everyone that plays against 6 Samurai, usually if it gets used against you, you're just like, dude, how are they not banning this card? And it feels really bad to lose to it, but that's the reality as the 6 Samurai. So now that you guys have seen it in gameplay and in action, the weaknesses and kind of the bread and butter and how it works, which is basically you gotta make Xian and you gotta make this card. The other card, technically, while I want to say it does have its utility use out of going second, maybe being able to bounce back double cards, that could be great. Unfortunately, that effect never really gets to be utilized. Even if you can maybe draw extra cards with talents, the main problem would be, well, then you've already used your normal summon. How do you recover from that? So I want to also give you guys some suggestions, but I'm going to go ahead and mouse over the cards real quick. So again, we were already run over all of the brand new cards as far as their effects go and kind of the different things that you can play. One thing that we didn't see that is actually a pretty good card that could lead to some recovery in the deck if your first summon gets stopped is potentially Reasoning. But if 6 Samurai becomes relevant again, just negate their first summon, and most of the time you will take the dub over there. But there's 2 variants over here, so shout out to the player and Nash and everyone else over here that's playing. There's like a lot of cards where like you can just instantly win. Anti-Spell Fragrance can actually win pretty hard too, because they gotta set everything before they go for their plays. But I feel like a lot of these cards may be some sort of like win harder cards, where if you were to say, let's say go second, opening up with all of these cards going second, like let's just use this deck for example, okay? Going second with, well, basically all of the traps. Let's be real. But like all of these cards kind of become not relevant when you have the problem of, well, you're not going to be able to really utilize them because your first summon gets negated. So keep that in mind. And a lot of the things require, if you control a 6 Samurai, you can go for it. And so like all of these cards, for the most part, again, lose out on a lot of value. So my recommendation, if I was to play 6 Samurai, what would I suggest? Massive amount of hand traps. Potentially, I've even seen a lot of people not even play 6 Samurai United. And I know it might sound crazy, or even even Dojo. I know this card seems like a no-brainer. It's literally pot of greed. Why would you not play it? The main problem that you may have actually seen with the gameplay is that if their first summon goes off, you can pop off, but you can already usually do that anyways without having United. Now, the thing that's going to make you pop off is opening up with, like, Gateway of the Six. That's what essentially starts everything to be absolutely crazy, and while you could still draw into it and pop off, going second becomes significantly worse. So, it sounds crazy, but you could actually side deck this in for going first specifically, and if you were to, let's say, go second, yeah, these cards just become so much harder because if your first summon gets stopped, well, there's really no plays that you can do with Six Samurais. So to prevent that, you can even bump up, let's say, remove some of the trap lineup, and then bump up either the hand trap count, so maybe you can stop your opponent from popping off, then the Six Samurai United obviously is much better in that circumstance. So that would be kind of some other suggestions that I can have, because if you're popping off, yeah, Rivalry can win you games, but like playing these other cards could lead to Bricky going second. So again, you can max out and maybe like running things like Nibiru, because obviously it doesn't really hurt Samurais too much, since now you can bounce back. At least this is like a good thing to have with that. But on top of that, potentially also running things like Dark Blue No More, and then you can go for the bounce back, and then it's a lot safer, right? But that's anyways my suggestions. There's a deck profile as well as kind of the new Six Samurai. Curious to know, what do you guys think of it? Do you guys think it's any good? And to be honest, I would say that it still suffers from the same problem as a lot of like legacy support gets, which is essentially it suffers from the thing where, like, if you lose out on your first summon, it's like, again, Blackwings. Blackwings has, again, the same problem. You stop that first summon, they have no follow-up plays. A lot of stuff requires other things to really make the deck kind of rolling. But this is kind of like how Yu-Gi-Oh used to be played. Your first summon gets stopped, you set your traps, your opponent gets to go, you get to go again. But now it's like, oh, you didn't get to summon like 10 monsters turn one, you lose. That's Yu-Gi-Oh. But anyways, that's my thoughts on the new Six Samurais. Would love to know your thoughts down below. Do you guys think it's any good? I think it's kind of mediocre. You know, I wish it was good, because you know, everyone played this deck when it was hot. Anyways, take care. I'll catch you guys in the next video. I'm out. Peace.